ESPN app.
While the Indians are looking to capture home field throughout the postseason, the Twins have their sights set on the wild card, and they go head-to-head tomorrow. 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Who's in for an ACC title rematch in Blacksburg? For Hokies getting loud and Tigers on the prowl? For unbeatens and dominant defenses? For Dabo and the defending champs in Electric Lane Stadium for a top 15 showdown? Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Number 2 Clemson versus number 12 Virginia Tech. Saturday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. And streaming live on the ESPN app. Who's in?
Mike and Mike.
So I spoke about it from a player. We talk about from the military side. Where's a fan? Where are you?
The freedom that we have as Americans is for each of us to live in the America of our own choosing. The most American belief that we have is that we each individually have the freedom to do what we wish. Then I don't personally understand how you can say those guys should be fined, suspended, or otherwise should not have the right to do what they are doing.
Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Don Le Batard, Greg Cody of the Miami Herald, does an annual gala.
The PFPIs.
It's a gala, man.
What does PFPI stand for?
Pro Football Predictions Incorporated, but we just say PFPI.
Greg Cody's the only one wearing a suit and largely the only one taking this seriously.
No, I think just about everybody but Christopher took it seriously.
That's not true. No one takes it serious.
Don't you dare.
Greg Cody's wearing a suit. He's handing over a trophy to a family who don't want his trophy, don't want him driving.
He's just now realizing all that.
Dawned on him how stupid all of this is.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by ZipRecruiter.com. Try it for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Dan.
One of the things that people may not have noticed about the locked arms thing, I've talked to a couple of players. They didn't want to hold hands. They didn't like that look. So do what you will with the homophobia of that. They preferred locked arms to
more manly.
Yeah, I guess. Is it? I mean,
they wanted to look like they were do-si-doing.
Right.
Instead of holding hands.
What's going on with this scandal? A basketball scandal involving the FBI and a lot of schools, 10 schools, it looks like, and an orchestrated. The FBI is having a press conference right now as we speak, and I don't know. Are you guys numb to scandal? Are you guys numb to college sports money scandals? If I tell you, because I do feel when it comes to grades in sports, like we are a little bit grades and money, we're a little bit numb to it.
I'm definitely numb to it. There's nothing. I'm not surprised by it. I know it's a big story, and I know it's going to be something that we're talking about for a couple of days here, probably on and off. But college sports, and even with the apparel companies, Adidas is the company that everyone is speculating right now. It just does. It's big business, and it's not shocking to me. So yeah, I guess I'm numb to it.
But you realize college sports is kind of like a Ponzi scheme. Like they're trying to keep together an unjust system where they don't have to pay anyone, and they keep the money rolling around it in a way that's jarring. We're talking about accusations here by the federal government, the FBI, about hundreds of thousands of dollars being wired to families by a sneaker company. Mm-hmm. Like that, the amount, the numbers are a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
And the orchestration of it is a little bit jarring. It's a little too systemic. It's a little too, it feels like mafia. It feels like organized crime.
It does. It feels like Well, I don't know, because I didn't read the entire story. When did this start? Are they saying it just started? Because it feels like something that probably has been going on for a while.
No, Adidas is trying to get in the game. It sounds like. Sounds like. We will have more information. This is a story. I don't want to be reckless with this. We've probably already been reckless because it's a story that's happening in real time. The FBI is talking publicly right now.
Right.
As we speak.
There have been 4 arrests, so we know that. 4 arrests already. Assistants from Arizona, Auburn, Oklahoma State, and the University of Southern California.
And if this is what we know, how much don't we know? Like, if this is going on in men's basketball, how can it not be going on in football? That's the leap you take, and the whole thing becomes tainted.
I didn't think this would be so. Like, I didn't think it was. Look, I'm not naive, man, but I didn't think it was possible for this to be something that was so. That a sneaker company would try to get in the sneaker game with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's like I always say.
This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Zebra steel pins are forged from grit, like crafted swords from ages past. A Zebra steel pin feels good the second you pick it up. As you battle your way through the day, sitting at a desk or playing in the dirt, arm yourself with a tough Zebra steel pin. It's as reliable as a sunrise, because after all, a day without sunshine is like night. Pick up your Zebra steel pins at Office Depot, Office Max, and other fine retailers. Now you've found Zen in your pin, and it's tough as steel.
I love going to football games. I'm Randy Moss, but I hate tracking down tickets.
That's why your man Charles Woodson has got you covered.
Nobody can cover me, Charles.
I meant I can get us tickets easily with Vivid Seats. Millions of tickets, all guaranteed.
Guaranteed, like Randy Moss finding the end zone.
If the end zone is where you want to sit, those are the tickets we'll get. Now, how do you want to pay me?
Charles, you already know. Straight cash, homie. Find your seats at Vivid Seats.
See guarantee terms at Vivid Seats. Wednesday with Greeny and Golick, the guys will chat with John Gruden about the Falcons and Chiefs, who remain undefeated. Plus, Kirk Herbstreit on just how good Georgia is. It's Mike and Mike, starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Summon Terrorborn the Brave. He's at the podiatrist.
Going into battle without the best team? Bad fantasy. Drafting your team from anywhere? Good fantasy. Sign up now at ESPN.com/goodfantasy.
Sam Ponder is the new host for Sunday NFL Countdown this season. Apparently, Rex Ryan didn't get the memo.
As the new host of Sunday NFL Countdown,
Rex.
I'd like to welcome you, Sam.
No. You know I'm the host, right? They didn't tell you? Yeah, I'm the host.
Are you on every show?
I mean, as of now, yes, but the way this is going, probably not.
Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by Snickers. Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app.
While the Indians are looking to capture home field throughout the postseason, the Twins have their sights set on the wild card, and they go head-to-head tomorrow. 6:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hope you're ready for another SEC Saturday night.
The Gamecocks confront the Aggies at College Station.
Jake Bentley, he has re-energized the team, the offense. That's Christian Kirk. He might go.
SEC Saturday night, presented by Holiday Inn Express. South Carolina versus Texas A&M. Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app.
Phillip Rivers has lost 25 starts in which his team lost by 3 points or fewer. I believe this quarterback is a Hall of Famer. Oh, he is. He's a loser.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats, 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Who's in for an ACC title rematch in Blacksburg? For Hokies getting loud and Tigers on the prowl? For unbeatens and dominant defenses? For Dabo and the defending champs in Electric Lane Stadium for a top 15 showdown? Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo. Number 2 Clemson versus number 12 Virginia Tech. Saturday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. And streaming live on the ESPN app. Who's in?
Hit hard, down the left field line. It's a tie game. Welcome to the postseason. Absolutely incredible.
It's going to be a great October.
The ballpark is shaking.
We're ready to 11 wins starting in October. And I like our team, champ.
baseball's postseason. It all begins with the AL wildcard game on Tuesday, October 3rd on ESPN and ESPN Radio.
In the college football playoff era, we've seen a third-string QB lead the Buckeyes to a title. The Tide become kings of college football, and the Tigers exact sweet revenge. But the real story is the full journey that takes 15 weeks to unfold. The beauty that every game counts in the quest to the top. So in year 4, which 4 teams will emerge to contend? The college football playoff, New Year's Day on ESPN.
Mike and Mike.
The first thing I ever said to you on the air was, Golick is here. Golick is doing the show with Tony Bruno.
Yeah, he's done the show with Tony Bruno, and Tony had moved on, so we were looking for another host.
And they bring in a bunch of different people to audition, of which I'm not one.
You're not one. You're a filler for a couple days.
It was about the first words I ever said on the air to you were, Mike, I don't want to suggest that you're kind of a fat guy, but if we stood next to each other, we would be the number 10. And those are the first words I ever spoke aloud to Mike Golick.
And we met 5 minutes before the show.
Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio and ESPN.
Your home for the Cape Central Football Tigers.
He's 315 and 5. It's incredible.
ESPN 1220 KGIR. Cape Girardeau. This is a local sports center update from Southeast Missouri's ESPN Radio Network.
I'm Eric Sean. This Sports Center update is brought to you by Bertrand Law Firm. Visit TreyBertrand.com. The Cardinals have been eliminated from the National League Central race after getting blasted at home by the Cubs 10-2. Chicago has lowered its magic number to win the division title over Milwaukee to 1. Cards starter Luke Weaver, who was going for his 8th straight victory, only lasted 3 innings. Weaver gave up 8 earned runs, including home runs to Chris Bryant and Javier Baez. Jed Jerko and rookie Luke Voigt each touched off solo homers for the Cards offense. Yadier Molina, though, had to leave the game after taking 2 foul balls off his catcher's mask. He is in concussion protocol. If he's diagnosed with a concussion, he will miss the final 6 games of the regular season. St. Louis missed a chance to gain ground in the wild card standings. They remain 2.5 back of the Rockies with 6 games to play. Game 2 at the Cubs is tonight at 7. Carlos Martinez versus right-hander Jake Arrieta. The SEMO football team will host Eastern Kentucky Saturday night at 6 o'clock. The Colonels are 1-2. Their lone victory came last week over Tennessee Tech. EKU is a 4.5-point favorite. I'm Eric Sean.
Get Sports Center updates every hour on Southeast Missouri's ESPN 92.9 FM and 1220 AM.
At Wings Etc., we love sports. So much that we packed our walls with tons of big flat screens tuned to the very best sports programming. At Wings Etc., we love big, cooked to tender, crisp perfection wings. And so do our fans who have voted our wings best in more and more cities across the Midwest. At Wings Etc., we love beer. We love it so much that we have over 40 different kinds of beers in bottles and on tap, including your favorite regional craft beers. Wings Etc. It's not complicated, and we like it that way. Come see us today.
The next competitor chooses the driver here on number 3. With great focus, he launches his driver.
Well, would you look at that?
Great shot. It faded around the trees and has to be close to the mark.
Normally in golf, you don't see someone throw their driver.
That's because this is disc golf, Jim.
Mark your calendar for the St. Jude Disc Golf Classic coming October 7th to Cape County Park North.
$60 gets your team into this 2-person scramble, lunch included. The tournament is 2 rounds and includes contests and raffles throughout the day.
There will be no golf carts because there are no cart paths.
The St. Jude Disc Golf Classic features 2 divisions. Cash prizes will be awarded in the open division.
Probably going to those with the highest scores.
Lowest scores?
That's so odd. Less is more.
That's disc golf.
Go to SEMOESPN.com to sign up.
The St. Jude Disc Golf Classic, brought to you by Arrangements by Joyce, Campus Auto and Tire, Kennedy Signing Graphics,
Gannat Floral, Main Street Flooring, Race Plaza Banquet Center, Little Caesars Pizza, and
SEMO ESPN Radio.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Now, today will be the last of the 90s for the season. Looks like cooler temperatures will start to filter in as we make our way into the latter half of the week. Sunshine here today with a stray shower this afternoon, 90. Partly cloudy tonight, low 66. Mix of clouds and sunshine tomorrow with a high 85. Thursday, sunny skies, high 78. Richard Wettigan, the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
Well, dude, obviously you'd be better as the focal point of the show. Would I be better for society? No.
The Ryan Russillo Show, weekdays at noon on SEMO ESPN and SEMOESPN.com.
This is a proud presentation of Mississippi River Radio Sports, the sports authority.
And now, at last,
it's time for the Red Hawks Coaches Show on the SEMO ESPN Radio Sports Network.
I have more to tell you.
The Southeast Coaches Show airs every Tuesday at noon on ESPN 92.9 FM and 1220 AM. Live from Wings Etc. in Cape and Jackson. This is your chance to delve deep into the Red Hawks football season with head coach Tom Matukowicz.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
let's go live to Wings Etc. Right here on SEMO ESPN.
Welcome in. It is another edition of the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We are live at Wings, etc. We're in the Cape Girardeau location. And just this programming reminder, we will be in the Jackson location next week. So next week, don't forget to join us over in the Jackson location. Again, it'll be Tuesday at 12 noon, as it is every Tuesday here at Wings during the football season. And we invite you to join us. Of course, Wings has their award-winning jumbo wings. They're popular for both dine-in and carry-out. So you want to eat here with us, fine. You can call ahead, carry it out if that's what you'd like to do. And if you've never been to Wings, you know this. If you haven't, you don't. And so we will let you know. They have a full menu featuring freshly made burgers. They have wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads, smoked ribs. Their appetizer lineup includes their ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle spears. It is Wings, etc. Stop by because their lunch specials start at just $6.49 if you'd like to join us for lunch. And we'll be talking with the Red Hawks head coach, Tom Matukowicz. SEMO getting set for family weekend. The Eastern Kentucky Colonels will be in town. The 21-time OVC champions, Eastern Kentucky. They will be here at 6 o'clock Saturday. It's Take a Kid to the Game Day. All children under 14, accompanied by an adult, get free admission. So good to have the kids there on Saturday. And a little bit later on in the show, by the way, we are going to be talking with Red Hawks defensive end Clarence Thornton, who is coming off his career game. 8 tackles. He had his second sack of his career. And he's a New Orleans, Louisiana native. And he'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. So we're excited to talk with defensive lineman Clarence Thornton. Let's welcome in the Red Hawks head coach, Tom Matukowicz. And it looks like, now we've had these hot and humid days, and man, it's kind of really been muggy and sticky. It looks like later on in the week it's going to be nice weather, and at least Saturday, from what I'm seeing, like 78 degrees is the high Saturday with no chance of rain.
I'm telling you, the only people that are going to be disappointed at the weather turns are Barkeys, because they're breaking in a new pool. Everybody else is ready for it to get cool. And, you know, when you're practicing football and it's hot and you're working, you know, it takes a lot of energy out of people. If it's 75, you know, it doesn't take as many. I thought we were a little tired on Saturday. We didn't start as well as we could. You know, you get home late, 3 of the 4 on the road, it just we seem a little tired. So I'm hopefully we get some of this cool weather, and it's obviously good to be home for family weekend.
So do we understand that the Barkeys have just recently put the pool in? I
yes.
mean, like
yes.
late summer installation.
Yeah. You gotta catch up with them on Facebook.
I see.
The kids are fired up. They're doing backflips in there, looking good.
All right. So the Barkeys pool party at the Barkeys, I guess. Sometime this week. Now, Brady and his wife are here, the athletic director at Southeast Missouri State. And having kids at the football game, Coach, we're going to have kids 14 and under free. We just mentioned it for family weekend. And there will be a lot of families for a lot of the players. I guess in a similar vein, kind of like homecoming, where you see a few more families, but maybe not as many alums as we'll see when it comes to homecoming. But what's been your experience over the years? When family is in the stands, do guys play better? When family in the stands, do they play nervous? What's your experience over the years?
You know, here it seems they play better. I think it's good to have people in the stands watching you, and then there's that accountability. I know we're going to talk to Clarence. His mama get in his ear now. She'll tell him, hey, you should have made that sack, and you need to try harder and all those things. So it's good, and I know she's going to be in the crowd this weekend. So it's good to have family around. My mom's coming into town, and, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, we can't forget on this journey about who we're doing it with and about the ones that's helped us get to where we're at.
And with kids in the house, anybody who has not been to a Red Hawk football game, or you haven't been in the stadium. Maybe you're still out at the tailgate just moments before kickoff. There's a tradition that started when you came here 4 years ago called the Lock and Rock, and kids are on the field. Explain that for anybody that may be bringing one of their kids or multiple children to the football game Saturday.
Yeah, I think Nate will get me straight here, but if you come to the game and you're a kid, you have the ability to run out with the team. I'm not sure if you have to be a part of a club. Oh, he just said it's everybody. So anybody that shows up gets to run out with the team, and that's a special moment. You know, if you got it, and it doesn't have to be a boy either. My girls run out there with it. It doesn't matter. It's the height of the excitement. The players are fired up. The video board's going. The music's going, and they get to take the field, and it's a pretty special moment. That's one of the traditions I'm proud about is the Lock and Rock and how we're trying to engage our community also with it.
Your daughters, both names are Finnish, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Georgia finished Matukowicz and Shelby finished Matukowicz.
That's an inside joke from earlier in one of the coaches' shows, the coach talking about how his team, one of the focus is finishing. The game at Eastern Illinois on Saturday, it finishes Eastern 19, Southeast Missouri State 16. Very close in terms of overall yardage in the football game, and boy, right down to the wire in this game. What were your initial? Usually could have one set of thoughts right after a game, especially a heartbreaking loss. And then you have a chance to ride on the bus for 3.5 hours. You get a chance to look at video. Things can change. But what were your impressions after the game on Saturday?
Well, I always start with just, what my keys of victory are through the whole week. And they were to, eliminate the stupid penalty and take care of the football. And so the penalty-wise, man, that really flipped. And you would say
much
that
better.
They were way worse than we were. And so really appreciate the fact that they were able to get better there. From the turnover standpoint, the same things happened, and so that's disappointing. And really until we learn how to truly take care of the football and we create more turnovers, we're going to be in the same spot where everything's really, really tight. You lose the turnover margin by 2, and you have a chance to win it, you must have done something okay. Immediately after, I was thrilled with our kicking game. It has been hard to watch. It'd make your eyes bleed, and I feel like our punt return we got going. No muff punts. Our kickoff return, obviously we scored a touchdown. Our kickoff was good. We sacked them inside the 20 twice, and so really think our kicking game's going. Defensively, they kind of come out. We didn't get settled early on. They came out with a new quarterback, new sets, new plays, and it caught us off guard. They were able to go 5 for 5 on third downs in that first drive, and they were able to get a touchdown.
That's hard to do. I mean, their opening drive, 17 plays, 87 yards, 7 minutes, 5 for 5 on third down. That's hard to do in college football.
Yeah, and give credit to them. And so once we got there and got on the sideline, we kind of got all that fixed. We did end up giving up another big play, but it's college football. I mean, if you hold somebody into 16s, you should win that football game as far as what the defense is in control of. And so really it came back down to offensively and the turnover thing. Both critical turnovers could have been avoided if I'd have just kicked a field goal. So I think, until we really, play at a high level, I think, I can't take any chances. Like, you just can't have risk. If you're in a field goal position and you feel good about it, even if it's first down, just kick it with the clock running like that. And so, that's something I'm going to really work on this week. And we got to get Jesse playing better. He's capable of playing better. One thing we're going to change on offense is I'm going to bring Coach Weimers down on the sideline. I just think it's really important that he has one voice. Just one guy's talking to him, not me, not anybody else, just Coach Weimer's talking to him, and I think that'll help him play better, hopefully. But we got to get going there on offense, and I know we're working and trying, and losing's hard. Losing's hard on these players, on these coaches, more so even on our families and our friends, and no one knows what to say, all these things. And so for what we've been going through, I'm just really proud of the kind of practice we had Monday. Like, it is what it is. This is hard. And at the end of the day, though, all the choice you have is to get up and go fight. And so the thing I like Monday is it felt like our players wanted to be there. Like, our players wanted to practice Monday. If I'd have said it's voluntary, I think they'd have showed up. Maybe not Epe, right? But I think a lot of them would have showed up. So, we do have a good character team. I think they care about each other, and so we're going to continue to fight to get better. Even though we haven't won, if you looked at us, there's steady improvement in a lot of our areas throughout the year. And so, but we got to eliminate the turnovers.
Well, for the rest of the year, if you would go on the road and give up 19 points to every opponent that you play, you'll probably take that right now. If we could say, hey, you're going to Jacksonville, you're headed on the road to Tennessee State, wherever it is, you say, hey, 19 points, I'll take it right now, not even go.
We take it. So I think we're there, and I think we got to find out how to get another 100 yards on offense, another 14 points. And they're there. When you hit the pause button, it's not like there's bad plays there. It's just our, we got to get our players better, and our margins aren't great. I've been at places where we're just better than people. We have a bad day, we still win by 14. Where if we have a bad day, we're going to lose a game. So, we can't have bad days, and we gotta find ways to get better. The one thing I have appreciated about going through this, before I took the SEMO job, I was in a bowl game. It would have been 5 straight years, and I was in the playoffs 7 straight years. Right, so 12 years I never witnessed a losing season as a football coach. And then you come here and you have the losing seasons that we've had. It's really made me a better coach because I've really had to look at myself and really look at our team and how do we find a way to get better. And sometimes when you're winning, you don't look as deep as you need to. And so even in my personal life, my coaching life, I feel like because of adversity, I'm a better coach and maybe a better husband and father because I've gone through all this, and it's made me really had to evaluate a lot of things. So I'm appreciative of that and what it's done for me.
One thing you mentioned, maybe in the future I'll just take the field goal. It's easy to say, for somebody to kind of look and say, boy, you're in field goal range, kick the field goal. But on third down, you're down there with a chance to win. You don't know. I mean, yes, you want to go into overtime, and you don't know how things are going to go in overtime. But you wanted to give your kids a chance to win the football game. So that's a weak second guess that you're going to try to at least take an end zone shot on third down before you kick a field goal.
And you know what? That's what we have to be able to do. We have to say, hey, Jesse, all right, the only one that catches this is either us or the guy that's sitting out of bounds. But until we're there, then let's not even put him in that type of situation. Let's just kick it. Because it is, you want to try to win right there. But before you can learn how to win, you got to learn how to not lose. And so until we get there, let's just kick these field goals. Let's get points, and hopefully defense will keep coming, and I think our special teams will keep coming, and hopefully we'll start to win some games and then start to steadily get better on offense.
The opening drive for them, and they used a redshirt freshman quarterback. Mitch Kimball had his arm in a sling, so it was some sort of a shoulder problem, their starting quarterback. So Gilkey, 3-star recruit out of Oklahoma, very highly touted recruit. They had given him plenty of snaps earlier in the season, so it's not like it was his first time out there. Right. He'd scored a touchdown in the previous week. In their previous game against Illinois State, nationally ranked Illinois State, so he had scored a touchdown for them. So he leads them on a 17-play, 87-yard drive, and again, that's hard to do and not commit a penalty. 17 plays without a penalty. So it was impressive. And you mentioned the 5 for 5 on third downs, but most of those third downs were like 3rd and 1. They had a bunch of third and shorts.
Mediums,
They didn't really have many like 3rd and 8s. It's a much tougher thing, right?
Exactly. The first third down was 3rd and 15, and he threaded a out route.
Right.
But all the rest of them was because we weren't stopping the run on 1st and 2nd down, which got it to 3rd and manageable, and they were able to move the chains.
And the way your defense adjusted, Coach, they converted 7 first downs in the first half. They converted 0 third downs in the second half. So that shows that the defense made the adjustment, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and we challenged them at half. We challenged our offense at half, too. We just really felt like whether we were tired or whatever, we didn't start the game like we needed to start the game. That second half, just, you know, even our offense came out and ran the ball, and we really got some momentum. Defense, you know, did a good job, and you know, are coachable.
You know, it's interesting because you put such a premium and a focus on the fourth quarter and finishing and new strength and conditioning coach, the whole thing. Fourth quarter's been your best quarter.
Yeah.
The first quarter has been your lowest scoring quarter, so kind of getting out of the starting blocks a little bit slow. But fourth quarter, you've been fine in the fourth quarter.
Yep, exactly right. And one thing we did change is we're doing some stuff at the beginning of practice, all through fall camp and the beginning of the year. I saved the hardest drills for the end of practice. And so right now I'm moving some of those drills up to right after the stretch. It's going to be a go time, and we're going to look at our pregame of maybe amping our pregame warm-up up a little bit better so that we're at a fever pitch when the whistle blows. And because it's been a history, like this isn't just one game. So we got to really look at how we're preparing them and what we're doing to try to get our players ready to be at our best, even from the get-go.
What when you're talking with some of your coaching buddies, or maybe even you've got some people that you really respect in the coaching profession, do you get feedback like, "Oh, here's what we do because we kind of went through a similar thing where it looked like we were getting out of the gate slowly. Here's how we kind of changed some things up."
You bet. I think our profession is so different. You know who I talked to yesterday? Kim Dameron and Nick Hill.
All right, Kim Dameron for
head coach of Eastern Illinois. Nick Hill is the head coach at SIU. And so I picked up the phone, called him. I said, "Hey, if you don't feel comfortable, but I want to ask you some questions about our football team." And that's just the profession.
How were they? I mean, were they?
They were great.
Good.
Of course, they won, so you know that's a little easier. But I asked them a lot of questions, gained a lot of knowledge, and you know, no one pretends to have all the answers. Like, we're just trying to get better. And so if someone can give you something to improve your football team, you take it from anybody.
You know, it's almost
like
in baseball, especially at the collegiate level, believe it or not, they get pretty in-depth scouting reports on teams from other teams. But if what you would like to really do is get a scouting report of yourself, be able to read someone's scouting report on you. That's basically what you did with, Coach Hill and Coach Kim Dameron.
Yeah, so that really gave us some knowledge, and hopefully we can take what I heard and work to try to get better at some things.
All right, so they go up 12-0 in the football game. And then you put together a 97-yard drive. Been a while since, I'm sure at some point maybe in the history of the program there was a 99-yard drive somewhere along the line. But 97-yard drives are tough to do. But you go 97 yards. Marquez Terry gets in the end zone for a third consecutive week. And then all of a sudden it's a 12-7 game. Then you get a safety. It's been a while since Red Hawk team had put a safety on the board, and then all of a sudden you got a field goal game. What were your thoughts on the 97-yard drive followed by the safety?
Just all the momentum had kind of got to our sideline. It was it felt like we were going to win this game. The belief, you know, last week I really talked about believe, and I'm telling you, from till the last play of the football game, I thought our football team believed that they were going to win, and that just fueled that fire. And I'm sure you're getting ready to talk about it, but then all of a sudden they double move us and we give up a score. And so it was deflating, and you say, well, all the momentum now is back on Eastern Illinois. But what did the team do? They responded with a 90-yard whatever kickoff return for a touchdown. And so that was the thing that I really appreciative of. They believed, and they didn't let a bad play affect the next play. They kept grinding on it.
So they put together a drive, 4 plays, 54 yards, a 38-yard touchdown pass. I know you mentioned before the game, you mentioned on this show, and then we talked in the pregame conversation, you said we've got to eliminate the deep ball. would you consider 32 and 38 yards deep balls? I mean,
yeah.
And what did you see on those particular plays? There was another play where they ran a reverse flea flicker, and it went for 87 yards, I think, but it was called back by penalty. So that was a deep ball. Are you seeing adjustments? What are you seeing in some of these?
Well, I think, and I probably should speak better, but you can't eliminate it. Like, you're not going to not have any.
Yeah.
So my thing was try to get to 50-50. You know what I mean? And really that's what, as coaches, we call those things. You know, anything over 20 yards, you say, well, it's a 50-50 ball. And we were closer to that. We had some nice plays deep. And so you don't say, well, hey, you gave up 2. Well, you defended 6. Right? And so that's a good thing, you know what I mean? So it's always, you know, I got to be careful when I say eliminate the big play, because that's not possible. But you need to get it to 50-50. We were closer there. And so just like our penalties, you can't go from 150 to none. You know, you got to try to just steadily improve
But
it.
5 penalties, I know coaches would like to have 0. It just never happens. But 5 penalties isn't vomit-inducing for a head coach.
No, it's more of the stupid penalties.
Yeah.
Even if I got 7, if you look through there and there wasn't like procedure stuff, late hits, you know, just stuff that completely is in our control. But we had 2 that was unsportsmanlike, you know, so that's why I'm saying, you know, we didn't completely take care of that, but we did improve it.
All right, so then Cam Sanders, a 93-yard kickoff return. I mean, literally, they grabbed all the momentum with that touchdown, and they're up 19-9. Suddenly, they're up by 2 scores. And literally, according to the clock, 13 seconds later, you had the momentum because Cam Sanders went 93 yards, 3rd straight year that he's had a kickoff return for a touchdown. Jacksonville State, Austin Peay, and now Eastern Illinois. I don't know about you, but the first thing I did, because I remember the Jacksonville game where he returned one for a touchdown and got called back by a weak penalty. The first thing I did, I'm scanning the field, looking for a flag, and there were no flag. Were you?
Yeah, you and me
do you
both.
do that?
You and me both. But I think when you look at that play, Cam will tell you that wasn't a lot about Cam. That was really about the other 10. You know, he was pretty untouched. You know, it wasn't like he ran over 85 people to get there. So
right.
I think we're building skill in some of those other players, and they're doing a good job. But penalty free. You know, we've had good returns this year, but that was the first game that we didn't have a penalty on. A kickoff return.
And in the punt return game, Coach, boy, you may have found something here with Zach Smith. First of all, he's a freshman. He had a 21-yard punt return, 4 returns for 40 yards. And the one thing I'll say, he's fearless, man. There were a couple of times, there were a lot of guys that would have thrown their arm up and gone for a fair catch, man. I mean, he wasn't even having anything about a fair catch.
Yeah, I think, man, you just really appreciate a teammate that would put his body on the line for his brothers, you know. And really that's what a punt returner is. You're on an island. You're like this, and everybody's trying to take your life, right? And so to have the toughness to be able to catch that football and get the tough yards is a lot. And I agree with you. He makes a good decision. He has tremendous ball skills, and he can do something when he catches it.
You know, he's getting seems like he's starting to see a little more playing time here, and he's starting to produce. Had his first touchdown against SIU. He had 6 catches for 55 yards. I mean, Christian Wilkerson is your leading receiver, but Zach Smith had the second most catches in the game. It looks like he's able to create a little separation, Coach, and Jesse Hoskett's getting more comfortable with him, it appears.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. He was a guy that would have played early, but he got hurt in fall camp. And so he didn't play against KU because of the injuries in the fall camp. So we actually knew what we had there a little bit in the offseason. Coach Knapp really did a good job. He's not a big guy, but he was able to put on 10 pounds in the offseason. Now he's, still that great athlete and great ball skills, but now he's a little bigger. A couple growing pains is just blocking in the perimeter. That's something he's got to do a better job, and all the wideouts got to do a better job. It's a young crew.
But nothing alarming because, it's his first Division I experience as a freshman.
No, yeah, but, we don't get, hey, wait, we got to try and winning now, and so everybody's got to try to play well, and so that's something as a position group we got to do a good job. Certainly without McLemore, who's a big-bodied guy, you lose that a little bit. So we got to get him better.
And for those who did not know, Tyler McLemore, one of your wide receivers, was unavailable on Saturday, but he had a good excuse from the doctor.
Yeah, it was touch and go. He was the due date's been passed, and he didn't know Holly had some labor stuff go on throughout the week.
They had a baby, for those who didn't know.
Yeah, had a baby on Saturday, so he was with us in Charleston. We're having breakfast about 9-something, and he calls and says, hey, she's in labor. She's at the hospital. So we had a coach running back to Cape, and we had already talked. We had a plan set up that if something happened, what we would do. He got back about 1 o'clock, and they ended up having a baby closer to about 4:30. And she's doing well. She's beautiful, so obviously she looks like her mama.
That's good.
Yes, exactly. That's what I told him. And, that's a special moment in everybody's life. And he was torn up, hey, do I miss a football game for my daughter's birth? And yes, you do. And so, it was great that he was there to have that special moment as a family.
So it was really odd because going into the game, there was a question about your top 3 guys, really. Yeah. I mean, Christian Wilkerson, who was in concussion protocol, Trayvon Billington, who's battling turf toe, and then Tyler McLemore, who was not going to play because of the birth of his daughter. And then Christian Wilkerson comes out and has a career game, Coach, 134 receiving yards. That's a career high, 7 catches for Christian Wilkerson. And, boy, it was good that he was able to be out there because that is a guy the defense has to know where he's at.
Exactly. Great job by those guys because they didn't practice all week. They weren't available, and to be able to do that. But who that really hurts is Jesse.
Yeah.
He's he's been throwing to Billy and Joey over here. Well, then in his game, it's 2 completely different people. He's double clutching stuff because the timing's off. And so that hurt us. That set us back a little bit in our passing timing. And so they're both be practicing today. And, now we can just, it's hard to be consistent when you don't have a consistent lineup. But we certainly are trying to dial in to get better on offense.
Trayvon Billington battling turf toe. For those who may hear the term turf toe, your toe hurts? Is that why you may not play in the game? Hey, turf toe is a serious injury. There are guys in the NFL, it ended their career. Deion Sanders, at the end of his career, he ended up having to retire because he couldn't recover from turf toe.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really painful injury, and, once you get it, it's tough. But our trainers have done a good job getting him some footwear and some insoles to really help him, and he's been tough-minded with it. So really appreciate Trey. He's a tough kid, even though he's not very big.
You throw the interception there at the end of the game down at the goal line. You have a chance. I mean, you're in field goal range. You're hoping to take a shot at winning it. If not, get your field goal kicker out there. But you're not even in that position if it's not for Jesse Hoskin and Trayvon Billington. Billington makes 2 fourth-down catches on that drive, or you don't even get in field goal range.
And they were both extended plays. They weren't like on time. We had to scramble. We had to break routes off and get open, and that's one thing Trey's done a good job of trying to find a way to get open, and Jesse's been able to extend it long enough to find that route.
Boy, Billington is just a sophomore, Coach. He looks like he's got a chance to be really good, and Christian Wilkerson is a sophomore. So your top 2 guys are young guys.
Yeah, pretty young there. So, you appreciate the future. You appreciate them and their athletic ability. But, all energy needs to be just focused on what it is they can get a little bit better at, and so we can improve as a football team.
Also, for those who did not know, Chad Meredith did not play in the second half of the game. He remains 1 tackle shy of 200 in his fabulous career, 6th on the all-time tackles list in the history of Southeast football, but apparently it was an ankle injury. Well, any update on Chad Meredith?
At this point, he's doubtful. He won't practice. He'll be kind of like Christian, won't practice through the week. If he feels like he can go on Saturday, we'll try to get him to go.
So I'm guessing it's not high ankle, or he probably wouldn't even be. There would be a chance.
He'd be out,
because that's a different type of injury. Explain the difference, because you deal with it a lot. If it's like a normal ankle sprain or twisted ankle versus a high ankle sprain, which can really be serious.
Well, and everything's different. Like when someone says they got an ankle sprain, you need a way more detail. One is if an old lineman sprains an ankle, he's probably going to play because of the athleticism and the stuff. Like his movements are different. If you got a skilled player that has to do all these athletic movements, then it's a lot harder to have a bum ankle. If you have a lower ankle sprain, there's just not the movement. All right. If you have a high ankle sprain, it's right in the movement, and so everything you do is extremely painful, which means there'll be a lot more swelling and all those things.
So there is a chance for Chad Meredith, but he will not be practicing this week. All right.
I wasn't ever athletic enough to sprain my ankle. I don't know if you did, but I never had those problems because I think you have to be a decent athlete to do any of those things.
I'm looking around. Is Clarence here? Okay. If not, then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about Eastern Kentucky, and hopefully we'll see Clarence. Clarence Thornton, Red Hawks defensive lineman, scheduled to join us, a native of New Orleans, Louisiana. He will join, coming off a career game for him, and just a sophomore, so a young rising star for the Red Hawks, and he is scheduled to join us a little bit later on in the show. We'll take a timeout. Again, we're at Wings, etc., Cape Girardeau location. Make plans to join us next week over in Jackson. We'll be over in the Jackson location then. More with Coach Took from Wings on the Red Hawks Coaches Show after this timeout on SEMO ESPN.
For award-winning jumbo wings, bigger beers, and better food and drink values all week long. Wings, etc. Grill and Pubs. We're so much more than wings. Enjoy wraps, salads, subs, seafoods, quesadillas, amazing appetizers, and awesome daily lunch food and drink specials. And now, when you can't eat here, order online for pickup at togo.wingsetc.com. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Wings, etc. Grill and Pub. Good food, great times, and online ordering at togo.wingsetc.com.
The next competitor chooses the driver here on number 3. With great focus, he launches his driver.
Well, would you look at that?
Great shot. It faded around the trees and has to be close to the mark.
Normally in golf, you don't see someone throw their driver.
That's because this is disc golf, Jim.
Mark your calendar for the St. Jude Disc Golf Classic coming October 7th to Cape County Park North.
$60 gets your team into this 2-person scramble, lunch included. The tournament is 2 rounds and includes contests and raffles throughout the day.
There will be no golf carts because there are no cart paths.
The St. Jude Disc Golf Classic features 2 divisions. Cash prizes will be awarded in the open division.
Probably going to those with the highest scores.
Lowest scores?
That's so odd. Less is more.
That's disc golf.
Go to SEMOESPN.com to sign up.
The St. Jude Disc Golf Classic, brought to you by arrangements by Joyce, Campus Auto and Tire, Kennedy Sign and Graphic,
Canot Floral, Main Street Flooring, Race Plaza Banquet Center, Little Caesars Pizza, and
SEMO ESPN Radio.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Now today will be the last of the 90s for the season. Looks like cooler temperatures will start to filter in as we make our way into the latter half of the week. Sunshine here today with a stray shower this afternoon, 90. Partly cloudy tonight, low 66. Mix of clouds and sunshine tomorrow with a high 85. Thursday, sunny skies, high 78. Richard Wettigan, the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network. This is your local home for Mike and Mike, the Sports Huddle, and all your favorite teams. Get it all right here.
Makes my day go great.
On the SEMO ESPN Sports Network.
Welcome back, Red Hawks Coaches Show, live from Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau, and we invite you stop by, join us for lunch. If you've still got part of your lunch hour there, we'll be here until 1 o'clock, and when you stop in, make sure you check out their daily half-pound lunch specials. They start at just $6.49. They've got food and drink specials throughout the week, including every Monday, they have 59-cent wings, and that's in both locations, Cape Girardeau and the Jackson location. If you'd like burgers, we've got you covered. How about a wrap? We've got those. Subs, quesadillas. If you're sticking to the entree salads, like Mike Rennick, the big grilled chicken sandwich or a big chicken salad, smoked ribs, much more. You can get it all right here at Wings, etc. Clarence Thornton, Redhawks defensive end, scheduled to join us in a little bit, and we'll talk to him. New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, I noticed he went to Ridgeway High School. I know Ridgeway High School is in Memphis, but he's from New Orleans, so you recruited him out of Memphis then.
Yeah, for sure. He was a transplant from the Katrina
I
hurricane.
wondered about that.
Yeah, so him and his mom, and it was pretty rough. They lived in, I think, 3 different states before they settled in Memphis. They had some family there that they stayed with, and he had come to camp, so we recruit Memphis pretty hard and did a good job. But he played O-line only.
Converted offensive lineman.
And so that's really hard to judge if they can switch over to defense based on film, but we had him in camp where he actually, and we have padded camp where he actually worked at defensive line, so we knew he was pretty good. We were just holding our breath because he wasn't necessarily big enough to be an O-lineman at a big level, but he was recruited pretty good and feel very fortunate we're able to get him because he played at a high level he this last weekend, and he's just a young kid. I mean, when you see him, I think 2 years later, this guy's got a chance. Like, he is exactly what you'd like to have.
6'2", 284. Maybe he's a little bigger than that, closer to 300 pounds. But 8 tackles, that is a career high for him. He had his second sack of the year. He had his first against Dayton, but 8 tackles, including his first sack, and he batted down a pass, had a pass breakup. A pretty good game for him.
Exactly. He's a little more. He's a lot more athletic than a lot of the guys we have. Like, Josh Wilson is more of just a really good run game player, where Clarence, even on the pass, shows up with a sack and his athletic movements to be able to all of a sudden recognize that he's about to throw it, be able to have that processing speed to be able to all of a sudden get your hand up, and then the hand-eye coordination that really takes. Like, people don't really understand how hard that is to do, but also how effective that is. Like, that's an incompletion pass. That's a PBU. J.J. Watt's great at it. People like that can really impact the game.
So we'll talk to him a little. I was looking at his bio, and I see where he was 7 years old, just prior to his 8th birthday is when Katrina hit in August of 2005. We had been down there in February of 2005 playing baseball. We played Tulane, so we saw pre-Katrina, and we've been back a couple of times since basketball and baseball. We've been back down to New Orleans, so that was life-changing for a lot of people. And I wondered, maybe as a 7-year-old, maybe that's how he ended up in Memphis, and you just kind of confirmed that.
Yeah, really hard on the family, but I think he'll tell you he's still Louisiana proud. Like, where are you from? Louisiana. And so he has a lot of pride in his state, and what his mom had to go through and what he's had to go through. You kind of dismiss what all that has looked like, but it was really trying on them.
All right, we'll get a chance to talk with him. It is Eastern Kentucky this weekend, Coach. Family weekend, 6 o'clock kickoff. The Colonels come in 1-2. It's interesting. We don't see a lot of teams play 2 money games, 2 games against FBS schools. Sometimes you do. Really, if the athletic department really needs a boost. I remember one year, Eastern Illinois played 3 of them, 3 money games, and they just got decimated by injuries. They went 2-10 that year. I mean, it was one of their worst years ever because of playing 3 money games. Tough to judge Eastern Kentucky because they have played 2 FBS schools, although they played very competitively against Kentucky. They led for almost 3 quarters against the Kentucky Wildcats. Lost that game by 11, and then it's a grudge match in all sports with Western Kentucky, but they're an FBS school, and they lost that game by a couple of touchdowns. And then they played Tennessee Tech and knocked them off 24-21 last week. Hard to tell with EKU because they did play 2 FBS games.
Yeah, obviously they're a good football team. I mean, they took those guys to the wire and they beat an OVC team. So, they're pretty good. And so I think they have changed quite a bit. I don't know if you remember last year, but they were a little more spread, throw it, all those things, where now they are trying to run the football. They've gotten some really big tailbacks, bounce back, and they're really doing a good job of running the football. They got some big wideouts, big tall wideouts that they throw the ball to, so they're definitely a concern. But really, the number one concern I have is just our turnovers. They do a good job creating them, and we've done a terrible job of hanging on to the ball. And so that is the number one stat. If you look and you say, well, if we don't improve there, then we're going to have a hard time because they're going to turn us over. Last year, I don't know if you remember, but we moved the ball a lot. We had 5 fumbles and 2 turnovers on there. And so we got to really dial it in and fix that ball security as an offense.
And turnovers, that was the name of the game last week against Tennessee Tech. They win the game 24-21. They force 5 turnovers. They have twice as many turnovers as they have lost. So they lead the league in fewest turnovers and lead the league in forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
Turnover margin, they're number 1.
Yep.
So it's been a part of their game.
Yeah, and you could just tell it's part of what they preach about, and so their players are always constantly trying to get it out. I'm coaching the defensive work team this week, and so that, trying to get those guys to do those type of things and try to just, build skill that we take care of the football and do a good job. Obviously, with Terry's fumble, that's a concern. He's had good ball security. It was kind of a freak deal where the guy they expected to get blocked. He didn't get blocked, and he come in with an arm. Because really, when you watch him play, he has great ball security. So I think if we can just not turn it over at quarterback, then I think we'll handle that pretty good.
I do want to ask you about one guy. We haven't talked a lot about Eddie Morris, Coach, but I thought he came in and gave you some good reps. He finished with 7 carries, 38 yards, so he averaged 5 yards a carry. He had an 11-yard first down run. This is a guy listed number 3 on the depth chart, but when given a chance, Eddie Morris has had his moments for you.
Exactly. We have some depth in there, so Coach Langford's done a good job, and he basically said, hey, whoever practices well is going to play. Now, you don't always have that ability because this guy is the best, and he's going to play. Well, because of the depth we have there, we have been able to have great practices, and Eddie is just a guy that he runs hard, and he's got this energy he almost creates by his style of run that I think our offense kind of responds to, and being able to just get those tough runs.
The Colonels have the best punter in the conference. His name is Keith Ruzak. The last couple of years, it's been Alex Knight and Keith Ruzak. Those have been the best punters. Well, Alex is gone now, and so he punted the ball 9 times, averaged 48 yards per punt this past week, had a 76-yard punt, 3 punts over 50. With such a strong leg, is there a possibility potentially of out-kicking your coverage and maybe giving Zach Smith an opportunity?
Well, I think special teams is a big deal this week. They do a great job. I know Coach does a great job. They have great specialists. I think their kickoff returner, I don't know what they're ranked in the country, but it's top 10, I think.
Yeah,
and
he's
so,
good.
We got a challenge there, and but I think our special teams are coming on too. So hopefully we could continue to make those plays, and we don't give up any big plays in the kicking game.
So they've got a punter that had 3 punts over 50 and had a 76-yard punt. Their field goal kicker kicked a 51-yard field goal. So it appears their specialists in the special teams appear to be pretty good.
Yeah, they are. They've showed it on film, and they do a great job.
Now, as far as this football program, only won 3 games last year under their first-year head coach, and his name is Mark Elder. This is year 2 for him, 4-10. They certainly weren't used to that. They had a lot of Division I drop-down transfers last year. I think it's interesting. They have 14 on this year's team, Coach, but what's really interesting, they have 64 new players. They have 117 players on their roster. 66 of the 117 are freshmen or redshirt freshmen. This is a pretty young Colonel team.
Yeah, I think if you look at it overall on the roster-wise, I think if you look at just the 2 deep, their talent is there, and they've been able to play well with what they roll out there with. And you know, it's that whole thing with the Division I transfers, and we don't have that luxury here. You know, if you're a Division I transfer, you're going to go to that school that has the name or has the top 25 ranking or has the great stadium. And so, you know, their model's different than our model. And so we got to be able to find a way to get great players, certainly when we don't have that ability to get those marquee drop downs. But I think it also, when you take that many transfers, man, it could really kind of take your team a different way because, you know, people aren't invested and all those things.
Their quarterback coach is a transfer from UConn. His name is Tim Boyle, and he threw for 320 yards in his very first game against Western Kentucky, 2 touchdowns, and he is the first Colonel ever to throw for 300 yards in his first game in an Eastern Kentucky uniform. He's only thrown 1 interception so far. What do you see from their quarterback, Boyle?
Well, I think he's done a good job managing the game. He hasn't made bad decisions. He really got it going against Eastern Kentucky. I think the thing that makes his job a little easier is their run game. Like, people have to really load up because of these big backs, and they're got all kinds of linemen and tight end in there. And so I think he'll tell you why he's playing pretty good is because they got a really good run game.
You know, also the Colonels, they just unveiled a new statue of Roy Kidd out in front of their stadium. They have pumped a lot of money into their program. I know they want to make a jump to FBS now. Just because you want to jump doesn't mean you will jump. You've got to get an invite, and they were hoping to get an invite a couple of years ago, and it did not work out for them. But this is a school that is focused a lot on the football program. 21 OVC championships. I mean, this is the winningest program in the history of this conference.
Yeah, I know that they just did a major stadium renovation, major new locker room, new team meeting rooms. Like, they've really put a lot of money into their football facilities. And I talked with Mark. I know Mark pretty well. And certainly from a budget and from just the resources that are there, he has it pretty good in the league.
What I'm sure you probably saw this. Austin P. They had their first game of the season, home game. You know, they just pumped all those millions of dollars into the stadium renovation. And they didn't do it. They didn't say, well, wait until you win a few football games and we'll upgrade your facilities.
Yeah.
They were in the stretch of the longest losing streak in college football, and they pumped millions of dollars into that program, and it translated into Austin P having the #1 rated recruiting class in FCS going into this season. But it kind of shows you, and Eastern Kentucky, millions of dollars to upgrade Roy Kidd Stadium, but it kind of shows you what facilities can mean to the health of a football program, even at the FCS level.
Yeah, for sure. You got to look at it because our kids look at it, you know. And so when if you're at Austin P, you're not winning. Well, what are you going to sell? You know, it's easy to sell millions of dollars in the stadium.
Yep.
And so, but interesting, you know, they just picked up a third money game. They're going to play because Central Florida lost those games. They're going to play them for about $800,000 to you know, do some more stuff. And so that's what makes it tough because
Isn't that almost unheard of, $800,000? That's a lot of money. I mean.
Yeah, I think they're scrambling or whatever, and they're trying to find a game. But
I mean, you aren't you?
I think more, and just look at UT Martin. I mean, have you seen when we played there last year?
They're upgrade.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
And so,
I mean, I called a lot of games in their old one, and it was crummy. Yeah. And this one is very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, those are guys we recruit against. We recruit against SIU. We recruit UT Martin. We recruit against Austin P, Missouri State, and all these programs. And it's really tough when they have those type of facilities.
All right, it's going to be Eastern Kentucky here at 6 o'clock on Saturday. The Colonels are a team that are trying to get things headed back in the right direction here. Now, they did knock off Tennessee Tech last week, but they won the turnover battle, interestingly enough, Coach, 5-1. But their one turnover, they got it back on the very same play. So it technically was a turnover. Really, they didn't turn the ball over.
Right.
So they had 5 turnovers that they forced and still only won by 3. It seems like you would win by more if you win the turnover battle like that.
Yeah, the game was 24-7 with 8 minutes left, and so it was definitely at hand. But they gave up 2 late scores, and so sometimes that's hard. The intensity drops on your sidelines, or you kind of get really conservative and play prevent because you just don't want to give up a big play. They kind of climbed back in the game and made it a game, even though it was at hand for 3.5 quarters.
And I guess Eastern Kentucky, they needed a late stop there, to win the game. They were on a drive to go down to tie the game, and I guess they had a big sack there toward the end.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, an exciting game, kind of like ours, come down to the last play.
They've got a safety coach named Kobe Grace, and he was just named the National Defensive Player of the Week. 7 tackles, an interception, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. It sounds like this guy's a playmaker, kind of like Dewberry, the playmaking safety for Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, just always around the ball, really instinctive, but also is physical enough to play in the run game. So we got to know where he's at.
All right, Clarence Thornton has arrived. We're going to talk with him after this quick timeout. We'll take a break here. Wings, etc. Red Hawks Coaches Show. Red Hawks defensive lineman Clarence Thornton joins us after this timeout.
Everyone knows size does matter, and no one knows it better than Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. has the biggest, meatiest, award-winning jumbo wings in town. If you love wings and a whole menu of great food and drink options and tons of flat screens tuned into sports, we've got you covered. And now, when you can't eat here, order online for pickup at togo.wingsetc.com. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Good food, great times, and online ordering at togo.wingsetc.com.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
Now today will be the last of the 90s for the season. Looks like cooler temperatures will start to filter in as we make our way into the latter half of the week. Sunshine here today with a stray shower this afternoon, 90. Partly cloudy tonight, low 66. Mix of clouds and sunshine tomorrow with a high 85. Thursday, sunny skies, high 78. Richard Wettigan, the Weather Channel.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
It's the Red Hawks Coaches Show, live from Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau. Red Hawks getting set to take on the Eastern Kentucky Colonels, and that is going to be at 6 o'clock Saturday night at Hawk Stadium. Family weekend. Clarence Thornton is here, Red Hawks sophomore defensive lineman coming off a career game. Clarence, welcome to the program. 8 tackles, your second career sack. Boy, do you feel like you're getting more comfortable here in just your sophomore year?
Yeah, I'm adjusting to the system real well. Like, I went from not playing that much last year to starting, so it's a big adjustment, but I think I adjusted well to it.
Already making plays, got the sack behind the line of scrimmage, and then batting down a pass. How tricky is that as a defensive lineman to be able to bat balls, because I know quarterbacks and offensive linemen really try to guard against something like that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't think it's that challenging because, I'm real agile, real athletic for my size. I got like a 30-inch vertical, so.
That's a nice vertical.
And then with a long wingspan, it all comes into play. I just do what I got to do to get the ball down.
Well, it's interesting. Coach was talking about the fact that you were an offensive guy in high school. How big of an adjustment was that for you? And did it intrigue you to go from offensive line to defensive line?
I mean, it really wasn't like a big switch because, I was playing offense and defense, all my life since Little League. It just so happened, the last 2 years of high school, my high school coach needed me on the offensive side more than the defensive side. I was already planning to switch to D-line when I got to college, either way I go. So, and really, switching from offense to defense, it wasn't really that big of a challenge because I really just brought that motor I had on offense to defense and just, instead of putting it into blocking someone, I just put it into tackling.
You are from New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, we've been down there a few times, I think 3 times in basketball. We've been there a couple of times with SEMO baseball. But we were there in February of 2005. That was the same year that Hurricane Katrina hit, so we saw New Orleans prior to Katrina. And then when we went back, we've gone back several times in basketball and baseball, so we've seen it after Katrina. So I did see what it was like pre-Katrina. You were born in '97, so you were 7 years old when Katrina hit in August of 2005. What was that experience like, and tell us how that changed your life, because it really did.
For the most, I say it was scary. Because, like, my mom just told me and my sister, like, we got to get our stuff together and we got to go. She was like, I wasn't going to ask no questions. I'm thinking, like, we just going on, like, a little family trip. But then I realized that we wasn't, like, going back for a couple months, and that's just, like, you know, it put a big toll on our family because, you know, a lot of our family split, separated due to the hurricane and evacuation and all. And I say it changed my life. It was for the best, to be honest, because back in New Orleans, you know, not a lot of things were going good for us. When I was younger, I tried to play Little League football, but, like, they said I was, like, overweight. So when we moved up to Memphis and Tennessee, I met one of my favorite people in the world, Coach Ludra Beavers. You know, he gave my chance in Pee Wee football. I just found love there.
All right, so it looked like football was going to be more of a challenge had you stayed in New Orleans, to where it really opened up in Memphis. Those are two pretty neat towns, though. I mean, I've been to New Orleans, you know, I think like 5 times. Yeah. It is very unique and known for Bourbon Street, Mardi Gras, all kinds of different things. Yeah. You got an NFL franchise down there with the New Orleans Saints. And then Memphis, I mean, that's a cool town, too, and known for the blues. And, man, I've eaten at some pretty good barbecue places in Memphis over the years. How about living in 2 really cool cities like that?
I mean, it's real good, you know, like, we'll go down to New Orleans, have fun, Mardi Gras, and then we'll come back up to Memphis, you know, enjoy a lot of just the scenery, you know, because it's 2 good cities, and I'm just proud to be from both of them.
How about blues music? You a fan of blues?
Nah, not really. Like, I go downtown, and they'll be, like, in the park, you know, got the little band set up, and they'll be playing, and I hear it, but, you know, I don't really, like, get into it like that.
That's not your niche, then?
Nah, not really.
All right, not a blues guy. Now, I did notice you're born on December 30th, so really near Christmas. Yeah. I always wondered, boy, if somebody's got that birthday really near Christmas, did you ever get gypped growing up where you kind of got the Christmas/birthday present because it was so close to Christmas?
I mean, for me, I used to always, like, get all my presents on. My mom used to make me choose. I get all my presents on birthdays or I get all my presents on Christmas. And I used to always choose Christmas. Just to, like, you know, get the fun side of it. Whatever I get, I got. So.
Well, then December's got to be your favorite month of the year, man. We got Christmas time. We got December 30th, your birthday. And then you got New Year's Eve, the day after your birthday.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Kind of cool to be a December 30th.
Yeah, my birthday is pretty fun.
All right, now let's talk about Eastern Kentucky coming up. This is a team that they want to run the football. It has been a little bit of a struggle for them to run the football, but they've got big backs, maybe bigger than some of the teams that you have seen so far. What have you kind of seen on video, on film for Eastern Kentucky, and how much of a challenge it's going to be against that offensive line, who has only allowed 1 sack already, and they've played 2 FBS teams? That's pretty good.
I mean, going into this week, Coach Kuhn already told us it's going to be a challenge. This is probably going to be one of the best O-lines that we'll face for the whole OVC play. But, you know, we still going to bring it to them like we always been doing since Kansas game. And as far as running back-wise, I mean, anybody can get hit the same way. So, you know, no matter where they came from, no matter where they transferred, SEC, you know, anybody get hit.
All right, now you're playing in a 3-man front at Southeast. Did you have any experience, going up against or playing in any 3-man fronts? I know you played a lot of offensive line in high school. And do you prefer a 3-man front as a lineman?
Yeah, you know, it's real nice. You know, I adjusted to it well. I ain't really back in high school. I ain't really play against it like that. We used to always be like 4-man front, right. You know, DNs, 2 D tackles. But yeah, I think it's gonna do pretty good against that offense.
You know, it's got to be nice for you as a lineman to know that you got a couple of guys that are big-time playmakers back there, linebacker playing behind you, and Chad Meredith and Kendall Donnerson. Those guys can play now.
Oh yeah, them the big brothers. You know, I look up to them. They make plays, so I just got to follow in their footsteps, try to make plays myself.
All right, family weekend. So that means we're going to have a really big crowd at Hawk Stadium on Saturday night. You got family coming to town Saturday?
Oh, yeah, I got my mom, my great-grandmother, and my 2 sisters.
All right.
Along with my auntie and my cousin. So it's gonna be a pretty rowdy game from what my mama knows.
What's your history? Do you play better when your mom's at the game?
Most definitely.
All right. That'll be good. They'll need your best game against the Eastern Kentucky Colonels. Again, it'll be 6 o'clock. I know you want to grab some lunch. We're up against the clock here, and we want to say thank you for coming in, and best of luck on Saturday. And I'm glad you have a lot of family in town. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Appreciate Clarence Thornton, the Red Hawks defensive line, and he looks a lot like his picture in his bio, by the way. And we like his hair. That's going to do it for us. We will get out of here. Don't forget, we're going to be in the Jackson location next week, so we hope to see you then. Thanks to Coach Tuke. Thanks to Clarence Thornton. Don't forget, 6 o'clock kickoff family weekend. And get there for the tailgate because you need to stop by either Firehouse Subs or Texas Roadhouse to get your 2 tickets for the tailgate. Now, every person gets 2 free tickets, so make sure you do that. And we want to remind you that the Red Hawks bye week is coming up October 7th. That's next Saturday, and it will be Red Hawks Trivia Night and Auction next Saturday. This Friday is going to be early registration deadline, so you can sign up your team of 8. Just go online to gosoutheast.com/trivia. That's next Saturday at the Show Me Center. And they still have room, but the early deadline for registration is Friday. Get your team of 8 together and register online at gosoutheast.com/trivia. We'll get you back to the Ryan Russillo Show coming up here on ESPN Radio for a final time here from Wings. So long, everybody.
ESPN.